What's going on today, YouTube? We are here with a video for you. This is going to be Chase's first full appearance on a video. He's had some cameos that he's been in, but he's going to be here full time on this video throughout the whole video, and you'll be seeing a lot more of him as we go. Today, we are here to talk about our biggest W's in buying sports cards.
Yes.
Me and Chase have been buying sports cards for a while together. And these are some of our biggest wins in the past, let's say, 12 to 24 months or so.
Yeah. So for me, I've really just been starting going to shows in the last probably year. Some of these that are mine are more recent, but I know there is one big one that you invested in that you hit pretty hard on. And I think we're going to do that at the end.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off with one of our wins. It's several cards, but numbered Prism Donovan Mitchell rookies. We've done pretty well on. This 100%. Is one of the cards that I researched pretty hard on, and I told Cody I think we have a pretty good opportunity here. As you see on the screen, we have a couple blue Prisms out of 199, and we also have a pink Pulsar out of 42.
Yes,
42. So Cody thinks that numbered Prism rookies are a really good investment in general. And what caught my attention in this is that there is a Donovan Mitchell who's in the same rookie class. There was a Donovan Mitchell blue that sold for like
a Tatum.
A blue Tatum that sold for like $7,000. And at the time, Donovan Mitchell's blues were going in for like $3,500, and I was like, why is Donovan Mitchell half the price of Jason Tatum? So that was really our main reason for buying into it.
Yeah, and Chase has been really good, especially in the past 12 to 24 months, on tracking graphs, whether that be on market movers, whether it be just on eBay, or there's another one that you use. Card Ladder. and finding gaps in the marketplace. So like the Tatum, the reason why the Donovan Mitchell hadn't caught up to it is because there were no sales, right? In the past 3 months, there were no sales on eBay except for literally as far back as you could go, like the 90-day mark, basically. And that was for $3,500. The Tatum was twice as much, but when you looked at that on other Prism cards, that gap wasn't a 2x gap. There was obviously a gap where Tatum was more expensive, but it wasn't a 2x gap. When you add on to that the Donovan Mitchell blue is actually team color, there really shouldn't be a 2x gap. And when Chase brought that to my attention, I was like, oh, we need to make sure that we find a way to pick some of those up, and we did.
And one sold recently for $6,900.
Okay, sweet.
So
we've almost doubled our money on those then.
We didn't buy in at $3,500. So one of the Prisms we got, a guy was like super high on it.
That's
wasn't.
Right. And did we get it for like $5?
Yeah, we got one for $5, and then we got one pretty cheap.
Okay.
So, I think they even out at like 4,200. I think so. And then we picked out the pink Pulsar because I think we got this for $5K because it's like numbered even lower. It's not team color, but I mean it's out of. If Donovan Mitchell keeps playing the way he has been and going off in the playoffs the way he has been, out of 42 rookie Prism expects to do pretty good.
100%. And I think if you look at his playoff performance and his regular season performance, you can kind of project that out to he's going to be at least in the competition for conference finals. Obviously, being in the same Western Conference as the Lakers, that's always going to be tough as long as LeBron's around. And then obviously the Warriors coming back this year with Clay and Curry. But I think the Jazz are always going to be one of the top tier groups in the Western Conference as long as Mitchell's around.
I agree. But next we're going to talk about some Derek Jeter cards that we did pretty well on. The one you see on your screen, like a blue refractor, so like non-base Jeter stuff, is doing really well for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Me personally, not as far as like me and you together, but just stuff that I did personally. I kind of hit the 93 SP foil, his rookie, like his main key rookie. I hit that pretty hard, as well as the Stadium Club Murphy, like a year after he had retired. So there was like He retired, waited a full season, and then started buying him up because I knew he was inevitably a first ballot Hall of Famer. Over 3,000 hits. One of the biggest names, not only in sports, but pop culture in our generation growing up. So I just knew that those were inevitable when he got into the Hall of Fame. So we've done very, very well on Jeter as a whole, but especially when you get stuff like a blue refractor from a product like 1994 Bowman's Best, like those are a lot harder to hit than like a non-numbered parallel in today's market. So, back in the mid to early 90s, those were very tough cards to hit out of a box.
Yeah. What you're going to see as a trend in this video is that a lot of our wins are going to be short printed, numbered rookie stuff.
Yes.
That's not base. That's not silver, where although it is more rare than the base, it's still not numbered. The print runs are still pretty high. So a lot of the stuff we hit on low numbered is doing really well for us if you want to take that for investment in Vice.
Yeah, I always say to first identify a player. And again, this isn't investment advice. You should get whoever you want. But I think the best key, like let's say that you love watching Donovan Mitchell play, for example. I always am a firm believer in that you should get the lowest numbered, highest grade card possible. So like if that's your player and that's your guy, that's what I always recommend doing. And then you can always like say you start out with a pink pulsar or whatever, you can always wait and hold off and turn that into something else that you can trade and eventually, grow your collection that way. So that will like those are the cards that are going to appreciate the quickest if he has a good game or a good week or a good month or whatever.
Yeah, which we'll also dive more into that on our biggest L's.
Yes, because they're not all W's, I can tell you that.
All right, so next up, we have a 2012 Rookie Prism Bradley Beal Auto. It is a silver numbered to 25, and it is also a BGS 10 and a 10 auto, which we almost got.
Black label, but
10.
that's a whole nother story.
Well, that's a whole nother story for Beckett. But still, so I believe our buying price for this was $3,500, and this was last season, while he was leading the NBA in scoring before Steph Curry caught up to him.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's kind of crazy. Again, do your research. If you're going into the hobby for investment purposes, if you do your research, for the most part, you're going to do well. If you have your research and you have your reasons for buying, then at the end of the day, that's all you can do.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely. And if you identify a guy and go after a very good card of his, that's really all you can do in the investment game in cards, right? Like, you're going to see the market do this constantly no matter what. But I think, again, find a player you really like and go after lowest numbered card and highest grade. And I would even throw like pop reports in on that because there's obviously SPs now that like pop 10s are like, PSA 10s are like a pop 10 or less. So pop report and numbered stuff, like take those things into account when buying stuff. But like this Bradley Beal, one thing that you also have to keep in mind when buying sports cards, and this is whether you're buying to collect and just want to get it at a good price, or you're buying to potentially flip down the road, a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with low numbered stuff and high grade stuff like this Bradley Beal at 25, it's a BGS 10. I want to say it's a pop 2 or like a pop 3 or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's out of 25 and it's a BGS 10 with a 10 auto. So like, very rare that you're going to find it.
It should be the highest grade, right? I don't think
there's a black.
Odds are there's not a BGS 10 out there. Is there another one?
I think I saw that there was like two. There's either a total pop of 2 or there's 2 others. I don't remember what it was. But anyways, when we bought this card, there were no comps. There were no comps for a BGS 1010 because it's such a rare Bradley Beal card. So what we did was we compared it. We may have found like a 9.510 sale or a raw sale and then just kind of multiplied it from there. But a lot of times when you're dealing with these rare cards, there aren't comps to go off of. And you just kind of have to research it based on, was there a 9.5 sale? Was there a raw sale? Was there a PSA 10 sale? And go from there. But again, when you get into those situations, that also typically shows me that we're buying the right stuff. Because if you can't find a card available, it's probably because it's very rare and the people that do have them aren't wanting to sell them. So usually those are good signs to point to the direction of you need to get in on a card. Because it may be a card that you never have the opportunity to buy again. I haven't seen another one. I can tell you I haven't seen another one of these since we bought it. And we bought it
I haven't seen a silver auto in general.
Yeah, I haven't. Not even just a BGS 10, yeah.
No.
And we go to shows fairly regularly. I go to the card show usually once a month or every other month. And I'm obviously on Facebook, eBay, and other outlets all the time. And I haven't seen another one. So that just kind of shows you that you're buying the right things when you don't ever see another one.
Yeah. And also, when it's like such a rare card like this, you kind of get to set the price for
Absolutely,
it.
yeah.
So, like, you know what you paid for, but, like, say if we bought this card on eBay last year, no one knows what you paid for it. So you can set the market price.
Yeah. And especially because the market would have changed so much in that year.
Exactly.
That, like Chase said, you can almost set the market and dictate what that card is worth when you get such a rare card.
Now, all we need is for Bradley Beal to be traded to a playoff.
Like the Mavericks.
I'll take the Mavs.
Go Mavs.
Because the Mavs have done nothing in the offseason. So.
Literally, they have done nothing.
Oh, also, another big tip. We were talking about pop reports. Download the PSA app.
Yes.
They have the most, like, user-friendly feature where you get to scan the barcode and, like, all the info on the card pops up, including the pop report, and I really love that feature.
Yes.
And, like,
and not only that, but it also shows you, like, it shows you the pop report on that card, but then it also shows you the population that's higher. So, like, if it's a 9 and it's a pop report and it's, like, a 600 pop, but underneath it, it'll show, like, population higher 100 or something. So you get a lot of data from their app. I can't say enough about the app. I think they've done a great job with it.
All right, up next, we are going to be talking about a 2018 granddaddy of them all, National Treasures, Lamar Jackson, 4-color RPA patch out of 99.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a card that we kind of identified in the offseason. And so far, it's definitely paying dividends with how Lamar's been playing. I think you said there was an 8.5 with no subs that sold for over 5, right?
Last night.
So I think we're definitely up on this card. It's a little tough to say how far up we are, but I definitely think this is even a longer term hold.
So we paid $6,000 for this. I think that this was like 2 Dallas shows ago. So 4 to 6 months
like
when we got this.
The off season.
And the last BGS 9 sold for 9,000 something, I believe. I'll put the number on the screen. And that was before the season started. So he's beaten Mahomes. He pulled a game out against Detroit that shouldn't have been that close. But I mean, he's 2-1. He's beaten Super Bowl favorites this season. Hopefully they can get it going. And I mean, if one sold for $9,000 before the season even started, and they're 2-1,
I think it's probably like an $11,000 card now, if I had to guess.
But
again, identifying those players, and then like we identified Lamar Jackson. Now you can also do where you identify specific cards, right? Like Chase identified the Donovan Mitchell blue Prism as having a big gap in the market. With Lamar Jackson, we kind of identified Lamar Jackson as a very undervalued player in our eyes. A guy who's already won MVP. He's already led his team to a 14-2 season. He's in an organization that is always in the playoffs. They always have a solid defense.
Yeah. So we compared his prices to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert.
Yes.
And it's just insane, the difference on these, especially when it comes to the National Treasures.
Like
I'll put some of the prices up on the screen, but I mean, it's ridiculous.
Like even now, I think Herbert's like 2.5x what Lamar Jackson is. I think Herbert's going to be good, but at the end of the day, Lamar has an MVP and a 14-2 season, and to be quite honest, I think he's in a better organization than the Chargers. So like I'm like 2.5x what Lamar is kind of steep. when you like consider the landscape of their career. Now, obviously, Herbert did just beat Mahomes and the Chiefs, so like his value is just going to keep going up because we are in a very reactionary market during football season.
But so did Lamar. So
Right, so did Lamar Jackson. So, like I said, identify those players and then go after one of their key rookies, like like a treasures RPA, and you're going to see huge dividends in those. Whereas, like, had we got a base Prism PSA 10, we probably wouldn't have seen the same percentage growth even as what we saw with an RPA. So, okay, now we're going to go to a card that is mine. It's not ours together, but a card that, for one, signifies like how much the market has changed since the boom, and also, again, even though it was like incidental to get this big of a like to get this big of a jump on a card, it's still like buying smart, right, and buying intelligent. This card is a 1986 Fleer Akeem Olajuwon PSA 10. I actually have 2 of these. Ended up pulling the trigger on it at $650. A month later, COVID hits, and the card boom happens overnight, essentially. That card now is like a $7,500 card. I think it ran up to like 10 to 12K in the middle of the boom. So basically turned $650 into $7,500 in essentially a year. Now, looking back on it, we should have bought the other 2 that were there. And the crazy thing is that when me and my buddy were talking to him, I want to say he had like 8 of them. And he said he had 8 of them when he started the show, and he had them marked at $500 a piece at the show, and a guy came by and bought 4 of them on Friday. On the Friday of the show, a guy came by and bought 4 of them. We didn't make it by his booth till Saturday. There was 4 left. He had went back and checked the comps after a guy bought 4 of them and was like, oh, man, these are selling for like above $700. So he put it at $750, and then we got 2 for $1,300 and left 2 on his table. And he offered them to us. Like, we could have got the other 2 for $1,300 more and decided to pass on it because it was one of those things where, like, we only bought this card because neither of us had an Akeem rookie PSA 10. And I was thinking, oh, this will be $1,000 in a few years. That was my logic. Is like, well, Akeem is undervalued, but he's a Hall of Famer. Definitely in the top 20 players of all time discussion.
And it's not going to go down.
And it shouldn't go down, right?
Especially at that time, before the market took off.
Right, exactly. Before we had a huge spike in the market, right? This was when things were like very constant. Like, I was thinking, in 5 years, I'll turn $650 into like $1,200 or $1,300. I never saw obviously $7,500. But again, those are the things that happen when you buy smart. When you buy an Akeem Olajuwon with a pop of 300-ish, PSA 10 rookie, vast majority of the time you make a buy like that, it's not going to turn out with an L.
Yeah.
Now, if you buy it now at $7,500, the logic is that, like, unfortunately, in the market we're in, that could turn into an L. Like, in 3 or 4 months, that card may be $6,000. But my long-term viewpoint is when you buy a card like this, a 1986 Fleer Akeem, you don't care what that card sells for in 2 months. You don't care. I don't care what this card sells for in 2 years. This is a card that's like 10 to 20 year plan, long-term growth, and that's always the safest way to play in the card market. So,
all right. So those are all of the cards that we have in this video. Some of our biggest dubs investing in. Stay tuned next week. We are going to have our biggest L's video. And then we have something that's going to be really fun the week after that. Me and Cody are going to go on vacation this week. But we have an exciting video. We'll save that as a surprise for y'all later. But Cody, if you want to hit us with the outro.
So Chase touched on it. Be sure you're subscribed here. Be sure you follow us on Instagram at Texas Roadshow Shop. And you hit that bell so you're not missing any of our alerts when you get a next upcoming video. Like Chase said, we have a big surprise, something that we are filming actually on vacation. So be sure that you're tuned in to us and not missing anything. But until then, guys, we will catch you in the next video. Later.
See you.